Hi again, it's Gerald with you, the Grand Seiko guy, and we're going to have a look at another watch which has recently come into stock. Thought we'd go sort of towards the lower end of the price range in terms of the vintage Grand Seiko collectibles, and have a look at a 56 series Grand Seiko. The 56 series was the last of the series of Grand Seikos to be introduced, and was first launched in the 1970 Volume 2 supplement catalogue. And this particular watch, which is the 5646 7010 with a cap gold case, was launched just a few months later, making its first appearance in the 1971 Volume 1 catalogue. This particular watch dates from January 1971. The 56 series is probably the most accessible in terms of price of all of the vintage Grand Seikos. This was when Seiko introduced, to a certain extent, automated production lines. So these were really churned out in very, very large volumes, and many of these watches survive to today, which is obviously a good thing because it means there's plenty out there to choose from. And the one that we have here, we think, is a particularly nice one to present. When it first came out, this was 54,000 yen on release, and actually stayed in the catalogues in the range all the way through to the end of 1973. This particular reference, well, the 5645, which is the date-only version, and then the 5646 7010 with the sort of classic grammar of design case, is without question the most common of the vintage Grand Seikos that you will find on the market. This is a particularly nicely preserved example of the cap gold case, and there's a couple of things that I'd like to point out to you as I take you through the watch. Just a couple of things to note on the actual design of the watch. Note this has a very nice gold second hand, and the hour hand is sort of black in the center, and then with a gold on the outside. So I guess that's probably painted black in the middle with a black minute hand. The movement's beating at 28,800 beats per hour, so not quite as fast as the 36,000 beats per hour that we see in the 61 series. And with that introduction, I think let's just have a look at the watch. I mentioned this was extremely well preserved, and I'm just going to turn it around and highlight something on the case, which if you're ever in the market for one of these, you really want to look out for. I hope this is going to be able to come out. I'll just try to position the watch in the light so we can see what I'm highlighting. There we go. What you'll notice is this side of the case here has a brushed finish. It's not polished smooth like the other surfaces, and you'll see a very, very fine vertical graining on the brush strokes on the brushed surface there. That's the sign that you're looking for on these cap gold 56, 46, 7010s or 7011s, where you can see that this case hasn't actually been polished. We had one of these in before that I thought was in very good condition, and I wasn't sure that it had ever been polished, but as I mentioned in another video, this is one of those situations where as soon as you get one that hasn't been polished, you suddenly know straight away that there's that the case hasn't been touched. So this maintains, despite the fact it's in cap gold, very, very sharp edges, which I'll just sort of take you around now. So you can see very sharp edges there. And as I said, what you're really looking for on these cap golds is to see that vertical brushing. This has probably been sort of maybe lightly hand polished at some point, but certainly never been abused. And we'll just have a look at the other side as well. So you can see very, very sharp edges on this watch. And we'll just flip it over, and a very nice caseback medallion, where we can still has the textured surface. So this hasn't worn down too much, and there's a couple of scratches that you get on these casebacks when they've been opened rather carelessly. All in all, very nice example. As I said, you can see from the date code 11, the first two digits, 1 for 1971 and 1 for the first month of January. So there's not really much to point out in terms of flaws on this watch. There's a couple of things on the dial. Maybe I'll just point out. They're very, very difficult to see. There's just a couple of very light stains that you might pick up on the dial in a couple of places, but really it's a very, very clean watch. Now, one area where the 50s, although personally I have a preference for the 61 series over the 56, one area where the 56 series definitely scores over the 61 is that it has, there's two things. One, you can actually fast forward both the date and the month. The date and the day. On the 6146 reference, you can't fast forward the day. So if your days get out of sync, you're going to have to wind the watch 24 hours for every day that you're out. But on these ones, you can actually fast forward them. The other thing which is quite nice, and I'm just going to pull the crown out and fast forward the time so you can see what happens. I think we're actually at midday here, yeah, so just bear with me while I spin it around to midnight. You can see at the moment we have the kanji symbol. Forgive me, I'm not sure what day that is. It might be Tuesday. And then as we come around to 12 o'clock, you'll notice that first of all, let's just get the date window. So there goes the date window starting to change, and then as we hit 12, it'll click in. And then between 12 and 2, the day changes. So you notice that day goes up there and then clicks into Wednesday. So it's a dual language day. And then between Wednesday and between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock, it then moves to the kanji date. So with the ability to manually set the day, you can set it so that it stays on either the kanji day or the English day, which is a nice little extra feature on these watches. Something to look out for on these, and unfortunately this watch has a problem, but we'll get that fixed. It's going off to the watchmaker this week. Is the day and the date manual fast correction. If you try to change that between about 11 o'clock and maybe 3 o'clock in the morning, so 11 o'clock in the evening till 3 o'clock in the morning, for some reason they use a little plastic part in the changeover mechanism, and that breaks very, very easy. It is very common indeed to come across 56 series watches where that part is broken, and so you can't actually fast forward sometimes the day, sometimes the date, or sometimes both. Fortunately, there are remanufactured parts in metal which are available, which are basically exactly the same design as the original plastic part, but obviously manufactured out of metal. These are available in Japan, and so it's good to get the watch fixed with that. So that's what's going to happen with this one, because at the moment the day date doesn't work, but we'll have that fixed within a week or so. In the meantime, we'll put this on the website along with a beauty shot, so you have a nice look at the watch, where it will be available for purchase. Okay, so a relatively short video this time, but one of the lower end pieces, and a really good introductory piece for those on sort of a smaller budget if they want to get into collecting vintage Grand Seikos. The 56 series is a great place to start. But as always, really just wait and go for those top quality pieces, and we would very much recommend this watch to anybody looking to start off their collection. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.